Hi guys, and welcome back to episode 3 of the Off Meta podcast. Today we'll be taking a deeper dive into the Liberation of Undermine raid and the Mythic Plus season, talking about what we think of the bosses and the current dungeon set. Chai, would you like to kick us off with Vexy and say what you think?
Yep. So uh, obviously you start with Vexy, which is maybe a bit strange for those of you doing LFR because for some reason Blizzard has decided to not include Vexy as the starter boss. But Vexy is the first boss. And I really like this fight personally. I think it's actually a lot of fun, but it's very, very easy because obviously it's the first boss. So we've done it on normal. We didn't really know what was going on in normal because we were so overgeared. We just face rolled it. And on heroic, you get these kind of like Vexy has like armor plating on her tank, and then you get these bikes that come down, and you have to like DPS the bikes down, and then you can get on a bike, and then you aim it into Vexy's thing, and then it like damages or takes a plate off, and then there's like a DPS phase. But yeah, overall, I would say it's a pretty good fight. I just wish it was not the first boss. I wish it was a later boss, so it could be a bit harder because there's a lot of like intricate parts that could have been really good for a later boss. But yeah, really fun boss. What do you guys think about this fight?
I actually
Uh,
enjoy it as well, I've got to say. Definitely one of my preferred fights, partly because the ad phase doesn't feel like you're just AoE cleaving everything down.
I'm definitely not AoE cleaving when I do that, boss. Not just single target, just single target.
Yeah. Same as a boom kid. I'm definitely not just room wired star falling on everything. Definitely not.
No, I wouldn't dream of it. I wouldn't dream of it.
But when we need to send on mythic, I do actually try to kill stuff intentionally.
Dude, I like the boss too. I gotta say, I like the vibe. I like the fact that you can die before the boss even spawns, and not because of the ants, but because of the Giga Beyblade that she does at the little Tokyo drift there, and it's really fun to push my limits and see how close I can get to the boss without dying. Uh,
Uh,
yeah. What do you think, Adam?
Yeah, I think I'm definitely more of a fan on Mythic than I was on normal and heroic. Normal and heroic just, I think I said before, it just didn't really feel like a boss. But Mythic, it's a lot more interesting.
You want to say what's
Yeah.
different about it on Mythic?
Basically spews out oil AoEs that someone has to soak and then fuel up the ad vehicles before you can send them into the boss.
It's a soak, isn't it? So you destroy the
Yeah.
bikes. They do move sometimes as well in between their phases. And then once the bikes die, they drop a couple of puddles. To soak each of the puddles, you get a debuff if you have soaked a puddle, so you can't do 2 in a row. And then once you've soaked, you can then drop your fuel essentially into the bikes, and then it's just essentially like normal. You send the bikes into the boss. If it hits the oil patch, they do stop. So
Yeah.
I think that's a mechanic in other difficulties, but maybe it's not as prevalent.
First bosses usually have the curse of them never really being that interesting, just purely because they're the first boss. But honestly, between this one and was it Olgrax, the first boss from last year?
Yeah.
I felt like they were quite fun for a first boss, really. Olgrax I liked, not the whole like 2 FPS once the ad spawn part, but seeing him charge across the room and just occasionally just clap people, it was actually kind of funny, to be honest.
This boss felt a lot easier, in my opinion, than most other mythic first bosses. I don't think I've ever gone in with a guild and one-shot a first mythic boss. Now, knowing the guilds I'm in are like top 1,000-ish, top 1,000, 1,500, so it's not like super good guilds that I've been in previously, but this is the first time I think we've ever gone and just like absolutely one-shot a boss with no problems. Like normally there's a couple of wipes on the first boss. Like last year, I think we had a few wipes on the first boss, but we were kind of undergeared and went in a bit too early, maybe.
Yeah,
I think it's probably the thing. We go in a little bit earlier than we did. But I mean, even then, we didn't really know what we were doing, and we still kind of just one-shot it quite easily.
That's what I mean. It felt like a lot easier. I still enjoyed the boss. The boss is a fun thing, a fun fight. I enjoy like having to destroy the fire. Sorry, not destroy the oil piles with the fire. That's quite an enjoyable mechanic. And then just sending a sending a bike at the boss is quite fun as well.
To be honest, the last time I did have it was actually last expansion, the first boss from the first tier. I forget what it's called now, but the boss where you had to kill the two ads as they closed in with the ring around you. That was actually
Yeah,
quite
that was
fun
cool.
as well. I liked that mechanic. It wasn't.
Yeah, that
I
was
was
fun.
gonna mention or talk about that boss too, because I feel like, if my memory serves me right, wasn't that boss also like considered like to be super easy, or was it actually like I was a mythic rating back then?
It was easy, yeah.
It was, yeah. But
What
that's
was that actually like someone? At least like there was like a little bit of like, oh shit, we need to gear up a little bit before we take this boss, or was it definitely like in the same vein as now, where it's like, oh, I'd rather like kill this first boss than doing like Mugsy on heroic.
it was kind of. It's always kind of the case where if you overgear for a couple of weeks instead of going in early, the first boss is usually always just a pushover. To be honest.
Yeah, it was called Aeronog, by the way. If you were
Yeah.
wondering which boss we're talking about.
Oh yeah.
And I think that they're just cursed. Like that fight, if that fight was like very tightly tuned, so that you was like killing both of the ads on the line, then it would have been a much harder fight, I think, and the people would have probably had a different opinion on it.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it was
Mm.
only because it was the first boss. It was like super forgiving. But I found it fun. I thought it was like early on because we didn't have a lot of gear. It was kind of a race and a little bit of a sweat, and I enjoyed that.
yeah. It definitely felt
Yeah,
like the
that's true.
first time you pulled it, it was like, oh, are we gonna kill it? Are we
Yeah,
gonna kill this ad?
exactly.
And then like the second week, you just like absolutely blasted through it, and you're like, oh, so this is
Exactly.
what a week's worth of gear does.
Yeah, completely. I think, unfortunately, Vexy suffers that curse as well. I think it's a very cool fight, but because it's the first boss, it was just made super easy, and as a result, like, you can't really rate it super high.
It's always going to be one of those
Yeah.
though, because it's the first, right? Every time they make a first mythic boss, it feels like they have to tune it to be probably easier than the last two on heroic.
Yeah.
And I'd say that's definitely a thing here. I'd say week one Mugsy was a lot harder than that boss was. I guess because there's no DPS check, right? You can. I don't think there's like a hard enrage. I think you kind of just keep going. Maybe there is, but it doesn't feel like it. There is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like Mugsy and Gallywix definitely felt a lot harder than that boss did.
Problem I find with this boss though is that like Olgrax, there was like a sense of danger, right? I don't know if it's the gear or whatever. Like you could die on Olgrax. I just don't feel like I could ever die on Vexy. To be honest, there doesn't
Yeah.
feel like any danger.
Yeah, that's
Which
exactly
is
what I was talking
unfortunate.
about. The charge and
Because he was
stuff.
one shotting you, right?
Yeah. And I also, to
I
be
guess
honest, sorry, go on.
Yeah. No, go on.
I did just want to say, I think part of it was an unfair. There was an unfair component to Olgrax because taking you down to 2 FPS and then not having the ability to run away in time because he's charging, but there's 10 million mobs. It doesn't really feel like a fair death, you know. Like, I don't
True,
know.
but people were also dying from the pull-in though. To be fair, like
Yeah, yeah,
scared.
Oh yeah, true.
Absolutely, yeah. There's some unexcusable deaths, but I think the ones from the charge, like if you're dying to a charge because they're literally melting your CPU, that's like, yeah.
And to be fair, I also want to say maybe it's credit to Blizzard, right, that they have made things easier to see. Like, you know, with the bikes, you can see where they're gonna go.
Yes.
And I'm not sure if that's like the implementation of this new thing where you can see stuff on the ground. Maybe if we had that with Olgrax, it would have been easier.
I'm a huge fan of visual clarity. I don't think that things should ever be difficult just because you can't see what's happening.
Yeah, I agree. Just a little bit of a segue here. Just which one? What did you say?
I said cough, cough, cauldron when you're standing in the middle and you can't see anything.
That's not true. That's not true. That's not true. But yeah, I wanted to give a bit of a segue to Aeronog. I was just looking at the picture of him. If you pull him up on the stream, I feel like
Yeah.
if I was going to be an evoker, I'm not going to say that's what I would want to look like, but that's what I would want to look like if I was going to play an evoker. Look how cool he looks. Just look at his model. Maybe not even without like the axe, right? Just look how cool
Oh, he
his
did have a
armor is.
badass
Like
axe.
he's got that sick horn. He's got like he's a chonky dragon. Like that is like the definition of what I think of when you like have an evoker and you want to be like a Chad-looking dragon. Look at that.
That
It
looks
looks
pretty
so cool.
insane. It does
It's just
look
like a
insane.
Dracula warrior, right?
Yeah, that's what I
Basically,
mean. That's exactly what I'm thinking. Like, it just looks so cool.
Just to be clear, that looks nothing like a Dracfear warrior, just so that we're all on the same page.
Yeah, unfortunately, they did implement Dractyr warriors, and it's not what we want.
Yeah,
I mean, Aaron gave up his wings, right? But I would gladly give my wings away for.
for high T.
Yeah.
Oh, true. That's true. They're not the same kind of
Can't fly.
diamonds, huh?
That's why he put on that bulk, dude. He doesn't need to be aerodynamic anymore.
True.
I actually
But yeah,
didn't remember what he
Vix
looked
is a
like.
cool fight.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I just googled him because I thought he looked cool.
I wonder though if Vexy, like, if they could even have the boss fight be the same and be more difficult than what it is, because you can scale the numbers, right? But
Yeah,
the mechanics themselves, I don't know.
the way they'd make it difficult
Would it
is
just become like
by...
a really obnoxious, annoying fight if it was like scaled higher?
so the thing is, the way it was done on Mythic, you could like tweak mechanics, right? To where you would have to, the repair choppers that you usually would CC, you could have it where you have to kill those, then you could take those over and use those to like occupy the bikes. You could do something like that where it's like an intricate mechanic between the other mechanics.
Or like
Hmm.
forcing you to hit the bikes. Because, you know, at the moment you get like, is it 9? So you need to break 6 stacks of armor off the boss. But you get like 9 bikes. So it's basically impossible to fail the stack mechanic. Like the stack break mechanic. They could probably make it where like you can actually fail that. I mean, you can now fail it, but you're getting 3 times, well, not 3 times. You get like a third extra.
Yeah.
Like the amount of bikes kind of than you need.
Right. Where do you think we're placing Vexy?
Whew.
It's one of those.
If
Anyone
we're
love it.
talking,
In terms of flavor, S tier. In terms
Flavor.
of
when
yeah,
you
dude.
drink
I
in
mean
that oil,
the whole vibe, like the Vex is introducing us to the
Yeah.
liberation of Undermine.
True.
I
Dude,
mean,
what a
like
boss!
how?
What a first boss!
Yeah, I feel
Also,
like
is this exclusively for the raid or is this overall? Because that also changes things.
No, just for this raid here, just for this.
Just for the
No,
tier.
yeah, but then it has to. You're always going to be comparing it to like your judgment of it is based on other tiers as well, right?
I honestly think
yeah,
for
I
a
feel like this
first
should
boss,
be judged in a vacuum.
I feel like this is pretty well done.
First boss, I'd say S tier. S tier first boss.
Oh, I don't know if I can
I
go
just
S.
like there's this oil on the ground, but then you've got to soak this other oil, and then you take it and put it into the bike because the bike needs some oil to run. And even when you get into the bike, the way the wheels are like spinning and it's not going yet, and then
Oh yeah,
I
when
like
you're
it.
ramping, then you're
The
ramping and
visuals are so
ramping,
good.
and then you
Like
go.
I think if we
I
were
agree.
talking normal or heroic, I would put this maybe C or D. On Mythic, I would move it up to A or B.
I don't
Adam.
know.
It feels like that's how the fight was meant to be.
but I
Adam's
mean,
not
okay,
a fan.
let me ask you
No.
this, right? What other fight in this dungeon is like? I think this is the best fight in the raid. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Okay,
No.
but that, to be fair, doesn't mean that it has to be an S tier fight. However, I feel like it is an S tier fight. But maybe it's an S tier flavor at least. I can go down to A.
I
Because
think
it's
part of
still
it
like just
is
a
we've
intro
only
fight,
done.
right?
I'd be okay with A. I'm somewhere between A to B, I think.
I'm somewhere between S to D.
S to D? That's crazy.
I think it's also because like we've only done 2 bosses on Mythic at the moment, right? So, well, technically we're on
True.
our 3rd.
Yeah.
So it feels like we haven't got the full experience of all the other bosses. So you're kind of basing the first 2 is going to be based probably slightly differently than the rest of the raid.
Well, yeah, for
Because
sure.
you've done the Mythic, you've done like the first 2 on Mythic, so you
Yeah,
kind of have
definitely.
that better appreciation for the harder or real. I think Mythic is kind of like the real fight. Heroic is
Yeah.
usually a bit like of a toned down version, isn't it, of Mythic? So you don't always get the full like
Yeah.
lore, I guess you could say, like lore and like intended mechanics, I guess, or like feel of the boss fight until you do it on like Mythic.
Where would you place it,
Yeah.
Nuclear?
I feel like for a first boss, it's pretty fun. So probably I guess it kind of depends. What is our basis for this tier list? Is it fun? Is it theme? Is it just like an overall, like, how do you feel the
All of
boss
those
is?
together.
All of it. Yeah,
Oh,
it's an
yeah.
overall. It
Okay.
has to be an
I'd
overall.
probably say like it's an A, because I don't think you could put like a first boss in like an S tier.
Are we happy with A? I think A is pretty accurate
Yeah.
as well.
I
I'll
think
for
A is
now,
pretty
we
good for
can
a
kind of
first
yeah.
put
boss
it there.
fight.
Yeah.
Maybe they even like make the boss fights more fun for the early ones because they know that like, you know what, this is gonna be easier anyway, so let's just make something out of it.
I think realistically,
Yeah.
more people get to see it, right? So you want it to be like an enjoyable experience.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Cauldron of Carnage. Okay. I know exactly how I feel about this fight, but I'm willing to let someone else go first.
Honestly, I do like the vibe of Cauldron of Carnage. Like it's literally Godzilla versus King Kong. In Robo Drone, you know, fucking what's it called? What's that robot fight TV show called?
Rebel Wars?
Robot Wars.
Yeah, Robo Wars. It's literally Robo Wars in our game, and that flavor is great. And
I really like that fight.
Yeah.
Again, we've done that one on Mythic, so that felt fun. It's pretty cool when they had the clash. And then on Mythic, there's a toy mechanic where you get like these little toys that spawn, 3 on either side, on either side of each of the 2 bosses. And then, well, I don't think it's not limited to who kicks which toys, but essentially what you have is like a person or 2 people from each side will kick the toys, and once they get in a certain range of each other, they'll like walk into each other and explode. And it does like a debuff, does taking damage to you. And they clash, and then if you, I believe, if you haven't dealt with all of the toys by the time they actually go into the middle and clash, I think it's pretty much a wipe. But maybe it's just a debuff. I'm not sure. We didn't actually see that mechanic, but yeah, I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean it's fine. I think it's not too much of a spectacle, apart from the intermission. But yeah, it's okay.
Exactly. I was gonna do a little bit of input there, saying, I mean, the intermission is very intense on the eyes,
Yeah,
to say the
Yeah.
least. So every mechanic all at once, plus a blue red hue, like just smacked onto your screen.
I'm going to say it. Okay. The visual pollution goes crazy in this fight, and I'm not a fan of it.
I do feel like, however, I do feel like I can see more during the intermission on this boss fight than some other boss fights from earlier, well, seasons and expansions.
That's a range take if I've ever heard one.
I
That
don't
is
like
a
that.
range
okay,
take. When I'm
fair
there
then,
on the
fair.
boss, and I can't
Honestly, it's
see
like
my
a
character, and I'm trying to like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
this is terrible.
no. I understand that part. I absolutely understand that part because I'm thinking back to what's the last boss from the first Dragonflight raid?
Razageth?
The dragon. Sorry.
Razageth.
Yeah. God, that was just like the most, like the hugest dragon you've ever seen is like literally also in the ranged phase. Like it's just too much, and I completely understand like melee in this fight when you have 2 big bosses. That's just, and then you have all of the visual stuff happening during the intermission. It's too much.
Overall, it's a fun fight. Mythic doesn't feel too different from Heroic, to be honest. But I'm also not dealing with the toys, so
The
Yeah.
toys make it feel
That's pretty
tedious.
I feel like when I think of the boss fight, I know that also like the key difference between Mythic and Heroic Vexi is the oil you have to add into the bikes. I guess adding it to the bikes and not just having an extra soak mechanic makes it a little bit different. But I feel like the toy mechanic is a little bit I mean, do I want to say lazy? Like, or I feel like it's not as fun as it could be.
I feel like part of the problem is it's basically like a job for like 2 hunters, and then if they don't do it, then some poor fucker has to run off and like do it. I.e., me
Yeah.
as a rep paladin running out from the melee to go and kick toys,
Yeah.
across the map because people can't bother to do it. But it definitely does feel like a 1 to 2 person job, like one person from either side just literally like takes care of the whole thing, and it takes like 5 seconds each time. You kind of have to stagger it because it can add up and like get people killed, but it's still like, oh, one person runs here, kicks this one toy, oh, okay, you kick the other toy, oh, okay, now you kick the other toy, and it's basically like not everyone really even interacts with that mechanic. The only other difference, I believe, is the bomb on Mythic, right? The bomb leaves like more fire, I think. Then is that right? Feels like it leaves more fire.
I'm not sure if it leaves more or whether it's just the fight is longer, so
Yeah, it could be
Yeah, I
that.
think the
up with
fight
more.
is just longer.
It's
So
a
the only
long fight.
maybe the only difference is the toys. Then maybe it just feels like the room fills up a bit more. But yeah,
Yeah, it's a very
That's-
long fight.
That's another thing as well. The sides just feel so different. Like when you're on Florendo's side, it feels like you're doing so much, like trying not to stack, trying to dodge the waves, trying to make sure the bomb's baited properly, and it's like there's a lot to heal. Then when you're on the gorilla side, there's like nothing to do.
literally payphone meme, dude.
I don't
Yeah.
know if this is just our guild though, but I've noticed that it's definitely a case of when you swap sides, it's treated as like a break, and then people start
Yeah.
dying.
Yeah.
Like that's my observation. That like people, I've noticed people start dying once you swap from Florendo to the gorilla, and everyone thinks they can take a minute, and then we start losing people.
Yeah, that
I
is fair.
actually prefer the opposite side. Like I like the dino side.
Yeah, me too, because
And I
people are
hate the
paying
I do as
gorilla
well.
attention.
side.
Yeah, I do as well. It feels more engaged. Like the gorilla
Mhm.
side is, I don't know, it just feels a bit boring.
Yeah.
I'm just always getting AoE on my own gorilla side. Like my static meter is almost never at 0.
I think we're melee heavy as well, and all the melees for some reason want to stack. And Herax also wants to stack with the melee when he's an elemental shaman. So
Yeah,
Dude,
I
I have
noticed that
to run around the boss somehow. Okay, I go clockwise. I go clockwise. Sometimes
We'll make a ranger out of you yet.
Honestly
Who am
though,
I, Mulan?
compared to Vexy, I think this is a step down for a second boss.
Yeah, I'd say so too. Like a B, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
Yeah,
only
I
one
feel
extra
like-
mechanic, I think.
I'm honestly willing to
Mhm.
go see. Like it feels very mediocre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think as a themed boss, it's kind of cool how they like clash in the
Yeah.
middle, and it's like it looks epic until you're doing the fight,
Yeah, but
and then it looks just
Yeah.
annoying
It
because
would
you
look
can't see
epic if
anything.
you were on the bleachers
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly what I mean. That's probably how they
watching the
designed
fight,
it, right?
dude. Robo
They zoomed
Wars, I'm
out.
telling you.
They zoomed out and were like, "This looks insane," and then they actually like got people to do the fight, and they're like, "Ah, my
Yeah.
eyes."
yeah,
And then
yeah.
your melee POV, and you're like, oh god, is this how it feels? Oh god,
Yeah.
it's like Spike is 3D.
Right, where you want to place it?
Like C. Seems
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, I would
C.
go C.
Try.
I'd say C is fair, yeah.
The flavor is not gonna carry this one, unfortunately.
Yeah.
No, I love the concept too. I think it is. You're right. Like the whole gorilla versus dinosaur is really cool, but yeah, it just doesn't do
Maybe,
enough.
I mean, if we were to talk about like a lore perspective, I mean, not that I'm like a complete, like I know everything about goblins, but I mean, it's clearly not really like goblin. I feel like having a robot monkey and a T-Rex is more of an homage to Godzilla versus King Kong rather than being like, oh, these are goblins and they made like
Yeah, definitely.
animatronics.
Yeah. I mean, it's just weapons,
It's a bit
right?
of
Goblins want to
50-50.
make a weapon out of everything. That's why.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of like Horizon as well, with like the robotic like animals, or not animals, but like creatures,
Yeah.
I guess.
Huh.
So that's why I kind of like it as well. With like the blue and like red, it's kind of very obvious, like Horizon colors.
Mm-hmm.
Rick, bird boss. What do we reckon?
I guess. Are we doing this from a Mythic? Herax, you haven't done this on Mythic, have you? I can't remember.
I have
You didn't
I've
pull it,
not
right?
done this on Mythic.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
so this is crazy, right, guys? I don't know if you know, but I've done 2 bosses on Mythic. I don't know if you heard earlier, but I was talking about it, and I knew the mythic mechanics. So
And he got
That's
curved
pretty
this
cool.
tier. Let's go.
And he got curved.
yeah,
Hmm.
I'm curved up, guys.
You got curved not 6 months into the tier.
Let's go. I got it at an almost relevant point. Let's
Race
go.
to world last curve.
honestly, I was in the running last year. I was in the running.
Oh dear.
Um,
So I guess what do we talk about this from like a mythic
Just an
point of view
overall,
first,
same way we have
and
been.
then
Overall, just-
yeah. I think on heroic and normal, this Rick Reverb just feels like a completely boring fight until you randomly get a ring that one shots you, which I've died to every single time, except for the time when I told people to tell me when it was coming, because there's like literally nothing to do if you're a melee other than like AoE a little bit and then forget that the mechanic exists, and then you just die instead of having to go out and like jump over the rings.
Yeah.
On Mythic, it's slightly more involved. You have to do a bit of soaking here and there. We did it with like a third tank strat where you have like the third tank just only soaking, and then like the odd people helping out here and there. The barrels do a lot more damage. Oh, sorry, the barrels have a lot more health and make it difficult to make basically the whole fight is dealing with the barrels and the soaks from the conduit things.
Yeah, I think one thing that we were wiping a lot to the barrels, and I think they would just spread. One thing that helped a lot was like changing where the boss was tanked. So the nearer the boss is to the wall, it kind of manipulates the spawns of the barrels to keep them more clumped. And once we started doing that, the barrels were more clumped and together, and then you could just AoE them down. And then we didn't really have that much problem with the barrels, but then we had started to have problems with people getting mind controlled, which is another thing, another interesting part of the fight. But I like this fight, to be honest, on Mythic. And yeah, I agree with you. Like on normal and heroic, it's very boring, but on Mythic, it's kind of I think it's kind of fun.
It definitely becomes a fight on Mythic, that's for sure. And there's a bit more to it than just having to hop over like one random blue line every now and then.
I think that's going to be like the consensus throughout all of these fights, though. To be honest, once you introduce the mythic mechanic, every fight like goes up a notch in interest.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, it feels like this is different from the previous two, though, because it feels like there's actually a bit more going on now in Mythic. So, like, for example, the amplifiers have like a shield, so you can't drain them.
Yeah.
And then when you need two people who have the zap debuff on them to kind of collide their rings together, like in the amplifier, and then the shield is destroyed, and then you can drain it. So that's like one aspect. And then there's the attenuation, or like the sound reverb circles that are coming out of the amplifiers. If you get hit by two in the space of like 6 seconds, you get mind controlled and you have to be DPS'd to like 40%, and then then you're back. Something those are quite fun.
Yeah, I like it as a Mythic boss. I'd probably say it's like a B tier or something. It's not going to be like an amazing boss, but it's fine for like a third boss. Doesn't feel too difficult. We haven't killed it yet, but probably get to it this week.
Yeah.
We raid
Oh, and then
tomorrow
there's also
again,
the
so-
beam, right? You have to like soak the beam now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, I forgot about that.
So you soak
Someone
the
kind of-
beam, and if you don't have enough people soaking, I think the people who are soaking, if they drop below like 30%, is it?
70.
You get mind
Keep drop below
75.
70%.
Okay, 70. Yeah.
75, yeah.
Then they get mind controlled.
Hmm.
Yeah. I feel like from my perspective, there's something. I mean, I guess I'm the vibe checker guy, right? That's what I'm always talking about for each boss. I feel like there's something missing about the boss that is present in the other bosses in terms of flavor, but I do realize that he has to like, he's like the the music guy. It's all about amplifiers and audio and like destroying people with sound waves, and there's this like kind of DJ vibe going on. So a little bit of aura, a little slightly, but there's something missing that just makes me not particularly like the boss. Maybe it's like also in tandem with me pugging the boss, and it's like a crazy roadblock, or was a crazy roadblock for pugs like 2 weeks ago.
Was that
There's
just
something missing.
was it difficult just because people weren't swapping to the carts, the pyrotechnics?
Well, I mean, there have been wipes from I recall due to not killing them, but I think most of the times people die because no one is doing the amplifiers and draining the amplifiers.
Oh, okay.
I think that has been most of the cases. But then again, I haven't. It's been a few weeks now where I haven't actually had to pug it. Thank God.
Yeah.
So it's been
Yeah, I
fine,
don't
you
have
know.
much to add.
No
B
vibe
tier.
check.
Me
I
too.
think I
B
know what's
tier.
missing. I think I know
No,
what's missing.
nothing to add. B tier. You are crazy.
What's
Wow.
missing is it feels bad, that intermission phase, because you're not actually doing anything apart from the healers. Like you're running to the thing, and then once you're there, you're just standing in it, waiting, kind of waiting, right?
Yeah, feels boring.
It just feels like, what's the point? Like,
It's like a poor fight design at that point. We just have
Yeah.
to run up and jump up something. I guess they want to give you something to do other than just like DPSing, but like as a DPS or as any class, just essentially not having heart. Well, like 3/4 of the raid essentially not really doing anything other than dodging the odd circle here and there.
Yeah.
Is just like kind of a boring mechanic, right? Where just the healers have to heal and
Yeah.
everyone else has to just not die.
You know what they should
basically.
have added? They should have added some kind of DJ Hero mechanic. Remember DJ Hero?
No.
That
Yeah,
game
like a
was
Dance Dance
crazy.
Revolution where you have to like copy the
No,
dance moves. That'd be sick.
I mean, yeah, true. I mean, he's like a DJ, so I feel like a DJ Hero kind of thing would be more appropriate. But a DJ Hero is basically literally just Guitar Hero, but with like a DJ, like a kind of little DJ booth thing going on.
Yeah.
But even dodging the circle, there's not that many. It's not like you're trying to make your way from one side of the room to another. It's not like attenuation, right? From Heart to Fear. That was actually like you were kind of watching, you were dodging, you were doing this. Whereas this is like you dodge like one circle every, I don't know, every now and again.
Yeah, I'm gonna think it's a bit more, I think, but yeah, on heroic it doesn't really do
Yeah.
much.
What do we think? Do we
Oh my
agree? It's
God,
B tier?
I say like CLB.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm a honestly I'm a C.
What are you
C.
saying before above Gorilla and Dino Boy, or were you saying below?
I'd say above, definitely on Mythic
So
above.
you think it's better than
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Alright. I'm happy with that.
Right. This is actually what I'm concerned about for us, which is Styx. Styx Junk Bunker is
Yeah.
likely what we'll be starting on Sunday after we kill Rick, and I think it's going to be torture for a solid while.
I almost wonder if we skip that and go to Sprocket. I don't know if like people are having better
So-
results on Sprocket.
People have asked me about that, and I've said we're just going to embrace the torture.
Yeah.
Because
So,
we're going to, whether we get another boss down or not, yeah, okay, we can get another vault. It probably is better, but I want to experience it.
what makes this boss on Mythic more of a pain in the ass than before?
I actually don't know the mythic mechanics, to be honest. I haven't looked them up yet because we haven't got to the boss.
I know that the range ads, the rocket guys, you have to basically, they'll cast like a spell that targets one of the people in the raid, and you have, the people who get the balls, you have to roll over them to interrupt that spell. Otherwise, they will just kill that person.
Oh,
Yeah, you need
that
your
sounds
balls to
hectic.
collect all of the ads. You need to make sure that your nuke, like your range, are getting down the shell bombs so that they can be pulled into the boss. It's just a lot. Basically, it's just making the fight way tidier than what you're allowed to get away with on heroic and normal, from what I've seen.
Is there
Yeah,
one
'cause-
bomb on heroic or two?
I think it
Yeah, I think.
starts with one, doesn't it? And then after the first one, I think you get two.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's at least two at some point.
Yeah,
Well,
there is.
definitely two at some point.
But yeah,
This boss also feels like another one of those bosses where like they're just a random pointless intermission where he just flies off to the sky, takes 99% reduced damage for like no reason, and you just like stand around. Maybe on her mythic there's more something for you to be doing, but like on heroic every time we've done it and he just flies off, it just feels like who
What
designed
is
this?
the
Like,
reason? Like
yeah,
he
I don't
goes
know.
up into the sky and then he
On
shoots a
Mythic,
bunch
you
of
have to bait.
electricity everywhere. Is there like a reason? I mean,
He
On
doesn't-
like
Mythic,
kind
you
of
have to
flavor
bait
lore wise?
his landing so that you move to certain parts of the room. I think.
Yeah. I don't know. That feels like a really crap mechanic. I don't know. Just
Yeah.
feels like there's just no point it being there. It just flies off for no reason, and then
So he's
it's
not like clearing out the trash or anything when he's doing that.
no. It feels like they were supposed to add something in, and then they decided like last minute to like take it away. And he does come back and like slam the floor at a certain point, but until that point he just flies around. You just kind of have to dodge a little bit, and that's it. But it just feels weird that he takes no damage for no reason.
Mm.
I know
Yeah.
one thing that's going to make it interesting is that you can't get the ball, the garbage ball, twice in a row, unless it's gone around to everyone on Mythic.
On Mythic, okay.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that. I hate getting that stupid ball twice in a row.
Yeah.
The thing
Such
is,
a
though, it
TPS
means,
you won't
strategy.
it
be
means that it's going to be like everyone's going to have to get used to doing that.
you won't be getting
Yeah.
away with just rolling the ball straight into the boss.
this is
I would
ver-
never dream of doing that. Not even once.
this is gonna be one of those where like the fight is gonna last as long as it takes the last person to learn it, basically.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
that's why I would like us to get started on it as quickly as possible.
Dude, I like the trash. I like the little circus rolling around the ball.
This is
It's
why we can't take you places. Like, there's no
what do
way.
you mean?
This is
is
not an
I have
acceptable
no
opinion.
It is, dude. It's fun. It's fun. The mechanic is more fun than just standing still in a little circle and wait until the little sound wave goes whoop.
Okay, I wasn't in favor of that. I'm just also not in favor of this.
Yeah, but here
I do
you're
feel like
actually
I
doing
don't.
something, and you can also completely like bully your teammates, right? I mean, maybe that's that fun. That's not that fun in Mythic, but in Pugging, that's hilarious.
Yeah, in Mythic, that's
Until you get
not
rolled
fun.
over, and then you hate it, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
I do feel like I don't hate it as much as you guys do.
It's just I mean
I do
every raid has one of these, but this just feels like the fight that is the glorified trash fight, and I hate it every tier.
Yeah.
Except
No
there's
fan
literally
of
Yeah, I
it.
was
trash.
gonna say there's a lot of like it's fun for DPS in the sense that you can like, oh, big number. I'm killing a bunch of ants. My number is going higher and higher. Oh, I'm elementalist.
Oh.
So there's kind of like always something to do, you know, as a DPS in that sense, like less mechanics wise, but more like just blasting wise.
I'm just not a fan of it because like you can be doing this fight and everything can be going perfectly, and then the boss is like on 20% or something like that, and then the wrong person gets the ball and just like
Mm,
doesn't get rid of the bomb, and then it's a wipe.
And
mm.
that's on all 4 people who get the balls, right?
Yeah, but I mean like if there's like 2 or 3 bombs, then it's kind of like yeah.
Yeah.
If you get 2 people who are not doing it, or yeah.
Yeah.
But it looks like the main difference is that ad. The recycle it's called.
Mm.
So the trap master basically locking onto that person, and you have 10 seconds to basically run over him.
Mm. Yeah, I
But
think I
then
was
again,
watching Liquid
yeah.
do it, and they basically had 2 people assigned to the bombs, and then the other 2 just rolled over all the ads.
Can you just roll infinitely? No, right?
What do you mean?
Like there's a time on your rolling.
Yeah, there
Well,
is.
yeah, they make sure that they pick up all the ad packs, because when you roll that ball into the boss, they take extra damage.
There's also pylons on Mythic as well. So it kind of denies the like denies there's a space DNL mechanic.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like I've I'm pretty locked in on my answer at least.
What do you reckon then?
It's a solid like. I don't want to say B tier honestly. Like I
A good
just
D
like
with
rolling the
me.
ball. The rest I don't really care about honestly.
You like rolling the ball?
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like
I
Give me
think
the ball, dude. I'll do the
I don't
mechanic.
mind rolling the ball.
Oh.
To be fair, the rolling the ball can be fun sometimes, and also
you're
it means that
running-
I can get the bombs. So
You're, I played the Tokyo Drift song in my head every time I get the ball. I'm just saying.
I think you can get a weak aura for that, dude.
That
Every time you
plays the
get on the
Tokyo
ball,
Drift
it
song.
just plays it. Yeah.
Oh, dude, I need that. I need that.
I don't know if it exists, but I'm sure someone could
I'll
make
be
it.
joining Pugs just to hear the song, dude.
I mean, it's unfair because we haven't done it on Mythic, but I find this hard to say it's better than either Rick or Cauldron, to be honest.
There's no way it's gonna be better than either of those fights. I'm saying D tier.
I
Yeah.
think it's gonna be better than those
I'd
fights.
die on
Dude.
that hill.
Dude, I'm a C at least.
I'm saying end of
Nice.
C if it's going C.
I'll say put it in
I'd
C
go
because
B.
we'll see how it goes.
All right, for that joke, it's going in D.
No, whoa! You know, move that boy back.
Hey, he's got
right
a
now.
cool like suit though, right? That's the one we get from doing the raid achievement. So
Yeah, true. That is true.
That
Ooh.
is a really cool mount, and we should probably go and do it at some point.
Yeah, we should. We'll do a little optional day for that one.
I'm a really big fan, actually, of in general, like Glory of the Hero, like the dungeon achievements and like the Glory of the Raider achievements. Those things are always really fun if you just have like an off day where you can't like do Mythic or something and you don't have enough people. It's really fun just to go back and do those raid achievements just to see what little fun things, you know, the devs or whatever have added in.
I wish they
Even
carried
just
on.
like Mythics.
I don't know why they
agree.
stopped doing the dungeon one. I think it's a really cool addition.
Yeah, even if you just leave it as zeros, because you
Yeah.
know you can just do zeros like the first season. I feel
Absolutely.
like they kind of goofed a little bit by not giving us like the full set of zeros in the first tier.
All right, we'll get
Yeah,
to
Blizzard
dungeons
Two, let's
later, though. We are going to get to
bring it back.
dungeons later. So
Yeah,
let's move on to Sprocket.
I don't really like this boss.
Okay,
I like that.
we're just enemies, I think. This is the only
I
boss
like
fight in here where you're fighting the boss besides Muggsy. It's like
Yeah,
this and
no.
Muggsy where you're fighting the boss. Everything else, you're just playing some crap minigame.
True.
No, I'm playing dude, I'm on the fucking what's it
Conveyor
called?
belt?
The bandit. Yeah, I'm on a conveyor belt, dude. I'm not like a piece of sushi, okay?
But he's
Like,
a goblin
I
though.
want
To
to play
be
the game.
fair, he's a shaman goblin. So
Oh, you
Yeah.
don't like
Yeah, you
being
can
on
cast
their
while moving.
I
contraptions.
don't want to be treated like merchandise, okay?
he's
That's
summoning
not
elementals
merchandise.
himself. So
It's just I mean, to be fair, like in terms of flavor and stuff like that, I have no clue about this boss at all. He's not farming any aura. He's not, the vibe is just kind of like, oh, he's a crazy little tinker guy that like, oh, I like experiments.
I think they tried to make
he's
it
very-
seem like the boss in Siege of Orgrimmar, where you have like the belts and stuff.
I
But
do not remember.
that's what I thought. I thought you were gonna choose like one of the things, but
yeah, I don't mind the boss so much. It feels a bit like, what's the word? Graphically heavy in the sense that just there's so much crap going on, so much crap on your screen with like rockets flying everywhere, like needles coming out of the floor, wherever it is, like drills, wherever they are. Then you got like mines scattered around, and the whole thing is just lightning. And then sometimes there's just some like purple void shit like going about, and sometimes there's some red stuff going about. It's like just very busy, like a very busy fight.
I do feel like there's a lack of like grandiosity in the raid in general. Like if you go back to like Vault of the Incarnates, every boss felt like big. And I mean, I get it, they're goblins and they're not like super powered whatever, but he does just feel like a guy, you know?
I like that
He's
though.
just a guy. He's just a goblin.
He's approachable.
He's a chill guy.
He's just he's just having his daily struggles. Like Vexy's having a daily struggle. She doesn't have enough oil. Like it is the economy's in shambles. Oil prices are going up. Like
I think this one is, although there's still quite a bit going on, it feels like it's very straightforward, but you still need
Yeah.
good execution for it.
One more person drops a screw up on me, I'm rage quitting.
Exactly.
Right, that's my mission for next raid.
Yep, all target Adam.
You stand on the conveyor belt, then the conveyor belt will help you.
In terms of like a ranking for this boss, like I don't have too much to add other than like for it's all right, nothing special. Probably like
Honestly, a B.
C or B, I'd say.
I think this is very middle of the pack, and it doesn't do anything to stand out, but it doesn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, I agree. Like it's kind of just don't stand and crap and you win.
Yeah.
Kind of, and I'm
Yeah.
kind of here for those bosses sometimes. Sometimes it's nice just to have a reactionary boss where you don't really have to do too much thinking. It's like, oh, there's crap there. Okay, just don't stand in it.
But
Oh, there's a
wait,
missile coming for you. Don't stand in it.
the
You're good.
mine.
Yeah, if you have two hunters, the mines also are just no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I kind of
So,
liked.
one good paladin and one bad paladin.
I don't think they intended that to happen. I think they intended it to be like you had like some kind of rotation and people would swap in, swap out, and all that kind of stuff. But then
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
you could just do it with two people.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, that's the problem with immunities. That's why we're not going to go on a tangent, but that's why we need to remove bubble from paladins.
It's not true. It's not true. It's not true. The slander.
But,
I'm here for it.
I looked at the mythic version of this, and it's like they've added like a polarity into it. So you have some people are like blue and some people are red. But
Oh,
then you
no.
also have mines. Some mines are blue and some mines are red. So that's gonna mean
Oh,
there is
okay.
gonna be like a rotation.
So we're just going to have to make sure that they're definitely pressing bubble before they run into it.
Oh wait, they're still gonna be able to just immune it.
Probably, yeah. I don't see why not.
Oh no, no, I think they might have it that because the circle will still be the blue circle around you will still be interacting with like the color of the mine. So even if you have an immunity, you will probably
Raid
destroy the
wide.
raid.
Yeah, okay, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Right, I don't know. Where do you guys think? Because I think B is fine for this, but I'm happy to
I
sway either
would
way.
be. I think what you said was fine. Like middle of the pack, nothing special,
Yep.
nothing bad.
Like low C.
B.
We're not
Yeah.
taking advice
B.
from the trash enjoyer. Okay, let's go on in
Hmm.
You guys just don't understand.
B. Oh, one arm bandit. Here's a boss I don't understand. How do we go?
Is that the next boss?
Yeah,
Oh, it is.
I don't
Okay.
know how we go from Sprocket back to weird, gimmicky, not very fun.
I still don't understand if the one-armed bandit is a robot or if there's someone driving the thing.
He's a robot, right? And then he's got the mechanics operating, like working on him.
He's a what do you call it? Like a slot machine.
Yeah.
It's a
No,
one-armed
yeah, I
bandit.
mean, yeah, I got that part, but
No one jumps out after you kill him, right?
I don't think
Yeah.
so.
no.
It's just a robot.
It's just the programmed bot.
It's actually kind of crazy that I enjoy this raid so much just because of the aesthetic of it. Like the whole goblin theme carries this quite hard. Because when I look at the bosses
Yeah.
individually, I don't think any of them are that impressive. There's like Muggsy and Sprocket I like.
I hear people talking about like aesthetics and stuff. It does basically nothing for me. Some people like rave about like Castle Nathria because of like the whole vampires and it just
That's
looked cool.
me.
I agree, it did look cool, but to me, maybe I'm just a bit alone on that one. I don't really care about like the theme of the raid and stuff. Like as long as the fights are good, like
Nah.
that's kind of all I care
Oh,
about.
the theme goes hard, dude.
Yeah,
the
the themes
theme
are
goes
important.
Yeah,
Nathria is one of the best raids of all time because of like the bosses were good as well, but the theme
I'm not
was
disagreeing
just
that the theme is like cool. I'm just saying it doesn't do anything for me personally.
If the Nathrius was in any other expansion, he can and should have been the main bad guy. Easily.
the way
Yeah,
that fight was done with the Remora as well. Like
Oh, yeah.
and the voice lines and those red thing like the sword cutting up on the floor and oh my gosh, dude,
yeah,
so
that fight
good. The
was really
dance
cool. I did
bust,
like that
oh my
fight.
gosh, so good.
Stay on topic, guys. Stay on
Sorry,
topic.
I
sorry.
did not
Yeah,
like
you're right.
Council.
One-armed bandit,
Council
anyway.
was annoying.
Back to one-armed bandit. Yeah, one-armed bandit was not as good as the Nathrius. I agree.
What do you mean you don't like it when there's just a random coin coming into the raid when there's bombs and then you just get stunned and yeah?
Just coins sending.
Yeah, not a big fan.
Most of it's fine, but yeah, I'm not a massive fan of it.
Yeah.
I thought it would be more fun. It looks like it should be more fun than it is.
I don't like any boss that's essentially, do you have the weak ore installed?
Yeah.
Anytime that's the boss, I'm instantly just disinterested.
There needs to be more of a gimmick about how you get the coins to insert, I think, rather than just here's 3 ads in the same spots.
Kill mob, get coin. Yeah.
Yeah.
It should have been the coin that you like send through the raid. You have to send those to the boss, right?
It doesn't really feel like you're inserting the coin either. You just fucking walk up to the mob. Like, well, you kill the bot. You kill the little mini ad. You walk into the circle or whatever, the coin. You pick up the coin, and then you just like click a button. You don't really like. It doesn't really feel like you're inserting anything. It just feels like you're chucking a bomb at a boss. Is what it feels like to me. Because I'm pretty sure they're all like this bomb. Like there's an electricity icon, isn't there? I don't remember the other one, but
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, I feel like that should have
a
been
slot
like, you know, when
machine.
you roll the coins. It should have been like they are on the opposite side of the room, and then you have to like you aim them towards him, and then like you roll them through the raid.
I haven't really noticed either, but like, does the arm move when you put the coins in? Does it like? I don't really ever play with sound on, so I missed that. But I feel like that's kind of like a pretty big, like, thematic thing they could have put in there, right? Because it's like the arm could have gone like cha-ching or something, and then like made a noise or something when you put the coins
Yeah.
in.
I think it's also the combinations don't feel fun, right? Like the
Yeah,
like
just random.
what
Right?
happens is like you get these bombs or you get that, like, but it doesn't feel interesting.
Yeah, I agree.
I think the whole
Okay.
interesting part is you need to pay attention to the combinations behind, and like everyone needs to stay focused. But again, all of that's removed, right? You just download Northern Skies pack day one, and you just never think about it.
And it's
Yeah.
sad, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, right? Anytime they want to design a boss that's like intricate like that, if they think that weak auras are just not going to invalidate them, and I mean, until they do anything with weak auras, that's just the reality of them.
No,
Because there's
I
no
don't
way
have
I'm going to
much
be.
input.
Yeah, there's no way any guild is going to willingly be stuck on this boss because they want to learn how to like do it natty, right? You're just not going to do it. You're just going to do the weak
Yep.
aura and go next because it will be dead like the same day you get to it on heroic.
Yeah.
Mythic, I think it's a bit of a wall, but we're not there yet, so we can't really comment.
Yeah, apparently the mythic one of the differences is that the ads that you have to DPS to get the coins, they have an armor that prevents them from dying, and you have to hit them with the payline token.
Mm,
Yeah, it doesn't sound like fun.
yeah. What do you
I agree.
reckon?
But yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I'll
Harry.
say
It's,
C. D.
somewhere in C. CD.
Someone
I'd
like
go B.
C. I don't think you can put it above like Rick or like the two boys.
I do.
You think you can?
Why do you
I'd
think
go-
that?
Yeah, I'd go as low as D.
Oh yeah, I'm that. I can put it in D.
Well, you think it's worse than them?
Yeah.
I could sub with
Oh
Adam
yeah,
on
okay.
that.
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
here
in
with
terms
that.
of like gameplay wise, it's not that exciting, and there's not really that much of a gamba aspect to it. I don't know.
Try.
There's some.
I would say I don't know if it's D, but I would say probably the bottom of C. I mean, the gambit aspect is the coin, right? But then again, it's just one person do it
gamba.
all out, and then you just dodge.
There's no gambit with the coin. You just stand in the line.
Yeah,
Like
I
stand next to
completely
the line.
understand from a gameplay perspective. If there was like an element of RNG that's like completely out of the player's control, people would go crazy and they would be so mad.
Yeah, I think the problem is that
But
blue line, right? If there wasn't a blue line, you had to get as close as you can, but then there's a chance of being stunned, maybe. But yeah,
What do we think? D or C?
D.
I'm happy with D. I think it's not the best fight.
Herex?
okay.
yeah, I'm fine with it.
Alright, I think it's a 4 on 1. This has got to go D, dude. I'm sorry.
Damn.
Bugsy.
But he gives
Okay.
great loot. He gives great loot.
He does, we just don't ever see it.
They-
They forgot to
Yeah,
put
that should also be a minus point, right?
they
I'm
forgot
pretty
to
sure we
put the
had
very
one
rare
House of
tag.
Cards.
Yeah, the very rare tag on House of Cards was left out.
This is what I was saying earlier when I was like if everyone needs a trinket, just because it doesn't say very rare on it, it makes it very rare, right? Like Eye of Kazan, like House of Cards. I'm pretty sure most classes need like some form of those two and or like one of the trinket. Like basically everyone needing a trinket and a ring, or like all needing the same item, just makes it inherently very rare. And I feel like as a item design that just feels really bad. Like that everyone needs the same item. Because it just means you're never ever gonna get it right. Well, maybe you will. Maybe you'll get lucky and you'll win the roll, or like it'll be a bigger DPS increase for like your specific class or something. But it just feels inherently bad having everyone need the same like couple of items.
Yeah, I always hate that anytime it happens.
And it's a few items this time, right? So I have Kazan, House of Cards, the Jester Diamond.
Best in slots is like a bunch of like it's like and it's like Ellie Shaman. I don't know about enhanced, probably not, but it's like rare. It's DK Warrior,
Druid.
What other classes?
Anyone that can
Druid,
wield a two-hander.
yeah, it's probably like a Holy
wants
Paladin
it.
bis as well. I would imagine.
Yeah, it's
This
crazy.
feels like, yeah, and it's like very rare. Have we even seen one yet? I don't think we have.
No.
People
No.
may have got it in the vault, but like I don't count that as seeing it.
Yeah, that's another reason to put it in D. We're just not getting loot from it, so it goes in the dumpster.
Yeah, shit, boss.
Yep. Straight in the
Onwards and
dumpster.
upwards. On to better
Mugsy.
things.
Mugsy. Now we're having fun. I like this boss.
I'm out here. I'm saying it's S tier straight away. I'm out there.
Yeah.
I'm putting it
This
up
is
on the
probably
gate.
the best. The best.
That's a strong
boss.
instant S, but I'm not fighting it.
Yeah, I'm here for it. Instant.
I would
S.
say yeah. This is S tier. Yeah.
This is coming from a heroic perspective as well. I haven't seen the boss on Mythic yet. I haven't looked at the mechanics of Mythic yet, but from the way that it feels on heroic, and we did it first week I think on heroic, and yeah, based on that
DPS.
level of difficulty was fun.
The DPS check for the first time in a long time was actually really enjoyable.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't have too much input on this boss, honestly. I don't feel any specific way towards it. But I do appreciate the step up in challenge. There's definitely like a lot more to think about collectively as a group. So that's a good aspect. In terms of like design, it's doing better than a lot of the other bosses.
The only
I think-
mechanic I don't like about it is I have a really big hatred for any mechanic that makes my character slippery on ice, like Senath from Vault of the
Yeah.
Incarnates. I just hate any mechanic. It's easy. It's even like the Vexy mechanic where it's like
Oil.
where it's like the oily slipping, sliding all over the place. Like I just inherently hate mechanics like that. Feels
Yes.
awful.
Yeah.
I like this fight, and I think it's thematically the design. It's so good because it's like you have these two sides of the room, and you switch between Mug or Z depending on which side you're on, and then there's like two heads, and then like yeah, it's so it's so on point and so good, and the like the colors are different, and then like even the ogres look slightly different. Like the one with the red, you go on the red side of the room. And then one of them has like more fire elemental abilities. One has like guns and stuff like that, and summons the robots. Yeah, just like a really, really, really cool fight. And I feel like there's stuff happening on both sides. It's not like one side is like missing something. I feel like both sides
Yeah.
have something. So like the one side
Yeah.
where you have the DPS, the ad, but also you have the big soak, and then you have the bombs coming, the mines coming out, and then you have to like soak stuff after they're destroyed, and you have to soak somebody else's mine. Like it feels really involved. Like everyone's doing something, and then on the other side you have like the stone walls that you have to place in the ice boots. Like there's just so many things interacting with one another, but it works.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the fact that like all the mechanics sort of have like an intertwined aspect of it.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like
Yeah.
anything's random, right?
I
Yeah,
feel like the one thing that I guess stands out for with this boss compared to the other is the fact that you're like y'all are helping. Like everyone is helping out on every mechanic. Which I feel like is not always the case with the other bosses. You know, like it's like
Yeah.
you're leaving the mechanics to like 1-2 people on other bosses. Here it's like literally everyone is doing something.
Yeah.
Which is pretty fun.
I also love the end part where you're freezing the bombs instead of like using the walls. And
Oh
then
yeah.
occasionally you might hit your tank instead of the bomb. That's that was classic.
That would never happen.
Now, not with us. We're a professional outfit, but I can see it happening to
Yeah.
other people, of course.
I can definitely see it happening elsewhere.
But it's so good because that's like just really good design, because those are two separate, like, that's like the mechanics from one part of the room and the mechanics from the other part of the room. So the mechanics from Mug and Z, and then at the end they get both mechanics and they both still intertwine. So you're using the frost to freeze the mines and stuff like that. It's just, yeah, it works so well.
Yeah, it's really good. And I think, to be honest, I think part of this is like, this is Blizzard showing they can make interesting fights that aren't boring, right? And I just wish they had the confidence to also do this earlier in the raid. Because
Yeah.
I understand the feeling that you want to have the earlier bosses easier so that like more people can get through it. But I think overall more people would probably enjoy the challenge of having this early on. And you don't need to have the DPS check as high. But I think the interactions between the mechanics could be the same and people would have a lot of fun.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep. For sure.
Mm.
I agree.
Like even just a theme, like it just feels cool. You feel like he's like a gangster. It's
Yeah.
pretty cool. He's
Yeah.
like the henchman, you know. Before you like, even just where he is in the raid is the second to last boss. Like usually before you get to a last boss, they have like the biggest, baddest, you know,
Yeah.
boss essentially, and that's kind of what like Muggsy is in this thing. He's like kind of thrown. He throws basically everything at you, right? He's got the jails, he's got the like elementals, he's got the walls, he's got the eyes, he's got some mega bombs, he's got the, I forgot what the spell's called where he like points. Is it just finger blast or something? Like what the hell's it called?
God, yeah.
I don't think it's called that.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got the knuckle dusters as well, like
Fingers
molten
up or
gold
some
knuckles
shit.
that he puts on the tanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
I,
good. It's
I do
really
like
good.
that, like one side is more like Goblin Tech kind of vibe, like robots, you got berms, you got you know, the
Yeah.
whole shebang, and then on the other side you have like the
Ogre
more
magic.
shaman stuff. Yeah, ogre magic, elementals, electricity, fire, ice, stony.
Right.
I
So
like that.
where do we think this goes? Do you think it's an S? Anyone against S?
I'm here
I
for
mean,
us.
I think
Yes,
it's
yeah.
lower than
I would
I
go
think it's
A at best. But
Vexy, but
Lower than
personally,
Vexy?
but I can accept the S. I can accept the S, but in my head canon, he's lower than Vexy.
Really?
No, I
Like-
don't think so.
Herrick's didn't do him until this week.
Mm,
On heroic, yes.
true. Yeah. You missed the week one fun of having him be very difficult.
You kind of had like the one shot easy peasy boss after like a couple of nerfs and like gear nerfs.
Mm,
You kind of didn't really feel it to its fullest extent. So
yeah.
I
It
think
was
we're gonna
fun.
have to overrule. I don't know what everyone
mean, it
else's
was-
opinion is, but
the one time we did it on it, it was fun, but
Yeah, but I think to be fair, I think like our opinion of it is different because of how difficult that DPS checkout. So you're playing like you're trying to max everything that you have, right? You're playing on a different. The boss is like totally different because you're playing like that,
Yeah.
and you get to
Yeah.
enjoy the mechanics way more because every mechanic counts, right? If you're getting caught by
yeah.
the ice beams, if you're not freezing your mines, it's basically gonna cause a big issue.
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, of course. I understand the difficulty aspect is not the same. I saw the when we did it last time, someone clutched like iced one of the mines that was so close to the raid.
Yeah.
And like saved everyone. That was pretty awesome.
yeah. There's definitely a different vibe you get when you're in for the progression side of it. That's
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
But I think it's still
But
a
I'm
fun
saying,
fight.
like,
I mean, the fact that you would still rate
Yeah.
it that high, I think, is good. It's a good sign.
yeah. Vexy's got it all, dude.
Vexy's just so
vibe-
good.
The vibe is just so off
Even
the
that
chart.
trinket where you summon the bikes, like that's
Oh,
fuck
dude,
that trinket,
that is
please. I want to
flavor.
use that trinket. It's so cool.
That's,
You just send
that's
like the
flavor
bikes
right there.
to do damage. Like
That should be honestly a legendary trinket.
Right. Now for the last one. which may be controversial. I don't know. We'll see. But Gallywix. What are the takes on Gallywix?
I think
I feel
he's
yeah,
so
go on.
close to being like straight S, but he's just not.
What? Really?
Yeah, I think.
Wait, what do you think, Sal?
I think this is phase one, and then that's the fight, right? Like,
Yeah, I mean, like he needs more phases, like on Razageth or what's it face from the last raid,
Queen.
where you like go on platforms and things. Like
oh,
just
that was so good.
something more.
So you want more like verticality, more
Mm.
like moving around rather than being on the same platform.
Yeah, it's all just him on one platform, and
Does kind of feel like one phase, doesn't it? Like
Yeah.
you definitely have like the phase. Well, you have what phase one where he's like in the middle blasting you from the thing. Then you have phase two where he jumps on the little body.
mm,
Oh no,
But-
sorry. Phase two is where he's like flying around the outside ring, and then phase three, I guess, is when he's on the body. I guess that's technically how it's broken up, but it kind of all feels like one phase because you're not really changing zones. You're just moving from the inside of the ring to the outside of the ring, and then he just
Yeah.
gets on like a mount, and the mechanics kind of roughly stay the same. It's like summons ads, kill ads, dodge shit, like soak stuff.
mm,
Like it kind of
Yeah,
doesn't
it doesn't
really.
feel different. Like, it
Yeah.
doesn't feel
Yeah.
like you're doing anything. Like, even when he does summon ads, right? I mean, they don't do anything. They just get cleaved down.
mm,
I think
Yeah.
it's interesting that you said it's like Queen as well, because I think that's a great example of another boss that's also just one phase. It just so happened that her first phase was interesting, because
mm,
once you got past the initial first phase with Queen with going up with the bombs, it was basically intermission. As long as you don't get pulled in intermission, you're probably going to kill it. Like, that was basically it.
mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
It
but the
just felt
thing is,
harder to me. That Queen fight in
Yeah, it
general.
did. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it was the same essentially. It's just that first phase of his is, it's just boring. There's not really.
the first phase is like, it's not. The problem is, I think there's only something to do for the tanks and the healers. The healers, they just have to throughput, and the tanks have to do the bombs. And for DPS, you're pretty much just pressing a defensive, right? That's what you've got to do
Yeah. True.
in that phase, which is bad design.
Did you guys watch the race? Like, do you guys know about the mythic mechanics?
No.
No.
I saw the kill, but I wasn't really paying that much attention, to be honest.
The mythic mechanic, I don't know what it actually is, but I know that you start in phase 3 where he's like in the machine. He's like in he already has the legs out.
Mm.
But like, going back to comparing it to Queen, I just think that Queen is a way better fight, because even though like phase one is, if you can get through phase one clean in Queen, you're pretty good to go. But the other phases, even though they're much easier, they're still interesting. Like when you're running up the stairs and you're doing the DPS in the boss, and then you get the knockbacks off the platforms, and then you the intermission phase is interesting as well, where you're getting pulled in and you have to move back, but then DPS. And then
Yeah.
even the last phase where you have to put the portals down to go through the portals, like, it's still interesting, right? Whereas with Gallywix, I don't find those other phases
Mm,
interesting. Like, I don't care if they're easier than the first phase, like in terms of throughput or in terms of how much healing I have to do. It's just not that interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe if you like had waves of ads and you were jumping from platform to platform, like blowing stuff up,
Yeah, I definitely think
could
like
have been good.
the vertical aspect of that Queen fight was so well done and so good. Like,
I think that I mentioned
Yeah.
this beforehand when because we discussed this on the previous episode just very briefly, but I do think that this fight, it feels to me like this fight was very rushed and they didn't have time to implement the fight that they really wanted to deliver.
Yeah. Definitely feels that
Mm.
way.
I don't know if that is the case. It could be completely wrong. This could be their idea of a perfect encounter, but it just feels like this is undercooked as hell compared to Muggsy. Like, this just feels ridiculous.
maybe it's just on theme. Maybe it's just on theme
He's just a
that
little rat. The big
the
guy's a
boss's
rat.
henchman is always the hardest one, right? And then when you get to the boss and the henchman's not there, then it's TG.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe. I don't know. Sure, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd say I think it's so close it could have been S tier, but
I honestly
But
don't
like, what
even know
things
if it's
like
A.
if you're if you're saying that like it's so close, like what things do you? Because I want to understand how this is
Well,
like an
we just
enjoyable
talked
fight.
about. Oh,
Like, what do you enjoy about it though?
makes it?
But I mean, like, what things in the fight do you like?
I don't know. I don't know how to
The
explain
vibe.
it. Yeah.
Maybe I would have enjoyed this more if the first phase wasn't so. It's a very binary and boring way of doing it as a DPS. It's go into the soak for the tank mechanic, move out of the circle that drops. Go into the soak, move out, just over and over.
Don't stand in like AoE circles, kill the ads that spawn,
That's what I
and
mean.
that's basically it. And then it's just like move in, soak, move out. Don't stand. No, don't knock people off with your 3 lines, and that's like the whole fight.
Yeah. And then the
Yeah, I
problem is
guess in
again,
that sense, it's like very, very straightforward. The bomb throwing is like the most unique thing about that boss fight.
And
yeah.
you
Then you
can.
just have one person dealing with gigacores, right? So it doesn't really matter that mechanic to most of the
Yeah.
raid.
And I don't
Yeah.
want to also come across as that person, right? When you narrow down every fight to like, when you actually boil it down and just list the mechanics, like, you could do the same for Queen and it sounds like a boring fight, but this really is a case of if you boil it down, it is just boring. Like, Queen, even if you boil
Yeah.
Queen down, it's like, okay, yeah, you go into the soak when it's your turn, the person designated stands on it. It's like, yeah, but it's fun when you do it. Whereas this never feels fun.
I even feel like even the cinematic at the end is kind of stupid. Like most end bosses are like kind of epic.
Yeah.
Like Galliwix is a pretty like lore-rich character, isn't he? He's been in the game for like a long time. He's got his like pleasure palace. He's like really rich and stuff. I mean, I don't know how like actually powerful he is, but even just like the cinematic at the end, where spoilers if anyone's listening and doesn't want to listen, then zone out for 10 seconds, where he gets squished by his by his robot. Like you fought him for 10 minutes, and the way he dies is by getting squished. Like it just feels like they just didn't do like a service to him. Like that's the way he goes out.
Yeah,
When
I
I
feel
most
don't
of
like
the time,
think he's dead. I think there's something more coming, but
he's not really that powerful, right? So it's not like he's going to come back as like Nazoth and be like all seeing, all I don't know, you know what I mean? Like he's not going to be some like epic person that's like difficult to defeat
Yeah.
or whatever.
I mean, his whole spiel has been he's just a giga rich. I mean, he's the Trump of World of Warcraft, you know.
Yeah, basically.
It's just big fat goblin is fat because he's so rich and he can eat whatever he wants. You know, sorry, goblin. Yeah, goblin. I wish that I had seen more of the cutscenes and everything, but my add-on. I mean, either I log in and I have to watch the intro cutscene all the time, or I, you know,
Yeah.
I can see all the scenes, or I have the add-on and I see no scenes. So unfortunately, I haven't really been able to see a lot of the lore inside the game, this expansion.
I also have the issue with it where, because you have to realistically compare the last boss to other last bosses, and it just doesn't
Sure.
feel like it doesn't hold up to the others. And also, actually, to be
Like-
fair, the second tier in Dragonflight's last boss felt the same. It felt very
Yeah.
underwhelming.
yeah,
Yeah, the way he died was very.
the entire raid felt like a disconnect from the story in Dragonflight that season 2.
Yeah, it was more of like a build-up, right, towards this expansion in that sense.
Yeah, but the fights themselves weren't, right? The fights are supposed to be standalone, like encounters, and they had the exact same issue where their second, like the one before the last boss, Neltharion, was a better fight than the last boss. I feel like
Yeah.
that's the case again. Maybe it's just a tier 2 thing. Does that always happen? I don't remember.
No, but
Maybe
it seems to
that's
be
what they do.
something that they're doing, right? The
I think
tier
it's
2
just an
tends to be more
oversight.
wacky, kind of.
What was Shadowlands?
I
We
feel
had
like
Nafria into.
Sanctum.
Sanctum. The
Oh.
last boss was Kel'Thuzad, or second to last boss, sorry. Was Kel'Thuzad, which I don't think was that difficult for them.
And then the last one was Sylvanas, right?
And then Sylvanas, and then you had
Yeah.
Jailer, and you had the two people, and Rygalon, was it? Lords of Dread and Rygalon. You could
Yeah.
choose which one you
Yeah.
wanted to, so like either one was.
Which was it in BFA? Do you remember the second tier in BFA?
Which was the second tier in
Was it
BFA? I don't remember.
was
Uldir,
it Bod?
Battle Dazzle.
No, yeah, Bod. Yeah, you had
Jaina was the
the two
last
ship. Where you get
boss.
on the two ships.
Stormwall Blockade.
Council or something. Yeah, that's the one. Stormwall. Yeah,
Oh yeah, that one was kind of
that was a
horrendous.
pretty crap end boss. Yeah. Well,
Hmm.
not end boss, but second to last.
These
boss.
are expansions I've never played, so
Yeah,
you know,
I
good
feel
I
like
and
don't know.
bad.
Sarkareth was more of a penultimate boss than a final boss.
I think they just fucked up with the tuning on that boss. I don't think it was necessarily a bad boss. I think the fight mechanics and stuff itself looked pretty cool. I didn't do it on Mythic, but I quite liked it on Heroic. And I think it was just more like slightly undertuned than it necessarily being a bad boss. I think they did the same thing for Gallywix this time around on Mythic. It's just like slightly undertuned. Well, maybe a bit too much undertuned, but undertuned.
I see. My issue with
But they
Gallywix
really,
isn't the tuning. Even if Gallywix was like harder, nothing changed, and it just became harder, it wouldn't increase my enjoyment.
Yeah,
No.
no. I mean, from a Mythic standpoint, right? I mean, Heroic, I think they probably could do something better, but I think from a
Yeah.
Mythic perspective, they probably need to make it a bit harder. Or
I'm
not
gonna-
harder, but like do something different.
Needs to be execution, not just a numbers fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you
I'm gonna
guys?
say what I said
Sorry,
already. Sorry,
go ahead.
but like the fact that the tanks have the most to do in this boss, like when has that ever been the case on a last boss in a raid? Or bosses in general in a raid, right? Raids are usually snooze fest for the tanks, but now they're doing the most. Like they have the most
Mhm.
exciting jobs to do on this fights. Yeah, it's bizarre.
And I tanked in the Sarkareth tier, and they did have a bit to do in that.
To be fair, that was
Uh,
one they had Rashok, which was one of the first times that people had to pay attention because DBM didn't tell them the right way to torch, and tanks were in
That
shambles.
was absolutely hilarious. I remember Manuel like just over comms telling the tanks when to taunt because DBM didn't work. That was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this is a difficult one for me. I think this leaves the raid on a low just purely because I had so much fun with Muggsy that like my anticipation built up a lot.
Yeah, I agree.
But
yeah, I feel like
I
it
would
would have been
go.
cool if they had something like, you know, you like 50% phase 2 or something. You like move down a floor, like the floor breaks or something, and then he enters his like super secret giga weapon mech.
Yeah.
So
You know,
you know
something
what?
like that.
You know what I would have
And it's like
wanted?
juiced by the dark heart or whatever it's called. That
Dude,
would
I
be
would have
sick.
just want him to get into his mech, and then like the floor drops completely. But when we drop, we all drop into our cars, and then we've got like do a lap
yeah,
and
just
race him and
chase
catch
him.
up to him. And while we're
Oh,
doing that, we're like grabbing like we're driving through these boxes that have like question marks on them. But then you can get like
okay, dude.
rockets, or you can get bombs, or you can get potions, or you can get like speed boosts, and then we do a lap and catch up to him. Like
Oh my god, no.
Yeah, that would be
use the
absolutely
drive
insane.
system, even if it doesn't even matter. Like like how
Mm.
far, like if you beat him or whatever, just use it. Or
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Or I
like
mean, I
within
thought honestly
on
that you were
Kindle,
going to
right?
say that he would drop into a like a even bigger mech. That would have been also hilarious.
That would have been cool.
He's already in a mech
That would
and
be
he's like,
that would have
"Oh,
been
look at
sick.
this,
Yeah,
bro! I got a
And
bigger
his mech gets a
mech."
like a
mech.
Megazord.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you guys think about heroic being the same as mythic in terms of mechanics? Them changing heroic so that it matches mythic but just is more forgiving.
Well,
No, I like that Mythic has
No.
different mechanics.
Yeah, I think it should be like a
Yeah.
step up.
Really? Yeah, but it would
Yeah.
still be a step up. It's just like a learning phase, right, for heroic? Because I think as
I
it
would
is now, heroic doesn't really serve much of a purpose. It feels like.
I think
I think
heroic is a lot more for casual guilds that
oh my god.
just don't have the execution for mythic. It gives them a sense of like achievement.
I
Yeah.
think that's a really tough one. It's hard to gauge the skill ceiling for your average guild, right? Because I don't think that we've previously been in what we would consider to be an average guild.
I I don't even know what the
Probably
average
lower.
guild is. Like, what is your
Yeah.
average
think
guild
the-
doing?
probably
Is
the
it just
Well, I
average
normal
mean,
guild.
I guess
heroic?
to be
Getting curve
fair,
eventually,
the
right?
average guild is a complete casual fest, but
I would have said the average
I would
guild
say
is
our old guild is average.
yeah, I would say an average guild is a guild that gets like curve like around a
Yeah.
0.5 patch at some point, and then they have like the remainder of the tier just like farming if they want to or play another
I'd be
game.
interested to know that. If that
Like an
actually
average
is that.
raiding guild, right? Because an average guild overall, because there's just
Yeah,
so
yeah,
many
of
guilds.
course not. Yeah,
Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
because then you
I mean,
like
average guild are people who are actually raiding.
yeah, because I'm not
Hmm.
including people that are like majority of the time RP and they might one day a week, like every couple of months, do a raid.
Yeah,
Hmm.
no.
Just
I
a
mean,
raiding
active
guild.
raiding guilds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think that they're better than a lot of people give credit for. When I see people talking about average guilds, I think a lot of the time they sort of treat it as though if you're not like trying to push Mythic, it's just because you're not good enough. But there's plenty of people who do get like ahead of the curve, for example, who definitely could like they can push high keys and stuff, so they
Yeah.
absolutely can Mythic raid if they just want to. But a
Hmm.
lot of them don't want
Yeah.
to leave their friends and stuff.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, raiding on a roster of 20 people can sometimes be a nightmare. Like it's just a pain.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I feel like they should do it. Yeah, 10 man. Bring back 10 man.
I mean, that's the hardest thing, right? Is the logistics of it. It's not actually.
That's what stopped us last year. We just couldn't be bothered to keep swapping like every couple of weeks trying to find one person because someone can't make it or whatever. It's just
Yeah.
too
Like
much.
10 man. We didn't know how good we had it, guys. We didn't know how good we
True,
had it.
very true, very true. Right, let's
10 man
rank it.
days.
Let's rank Gallywix and get this done.
I'd say like
Mm,
I'd
somewhere
say
between like B and A maybe.
I'm
I'd say
Like pretty
low A.
good, but not great.
again, right? He doesn't do anything offensive. Doesn't really impress me.
Yeah.
He's no Vexy.
I'm happy with an A though. If anyone wants to argue for moving him up,
I
I'd
don't
say
think
low
there's
A, high
anything.
B.
no way.
I think it has the potential to be A.
he-
I don't know in Mythic how it is, but for now I think B. Because I don't think it's a better fight than Vexy.
No, me either.
the vibes are just not there.
Vibes are off.
Hmm.
If you jumped into a bigger mech,
If he drops me the mount, then he'll move up to an A.
Like it would have been
Oh,
funny if
okay.
you like dropped into a bigger mount and then that mount had like a button that pressed something that did like a cannon and it was pointing at like I don't know.
Oh, that's the
Something like
perfect time for them to
Orgrimmar or
fire that
something.
cannon that's been sitting there doing nothing.
Yeah, in a Jara. Like
What sword?
Yeah, true.
exactly. But just imagine if it was something like that, or even like in the cinematic, if it like
Could have been
cuts
so
to a
fun.
room where he had some like secret backdoor room which had like a massive laser in space, like fucking pointing to the I don't know to something,
Balloon.
Dude,
just something
I'm,
stupid like that. Yeah,
in my head, I'm building up the Gallowix doing his ultimate, and it's just like a Final Fantasy type cutscene when you're out in space, and it's just like a orbital cannon,
yeah, that's what I'm talking about, dude. That's
something absolutely like completely insane happening. Hijacked one of
Hmm.
those Exodar ships,
Yeah.
just
Yeah, I think
beams,
that's it.
fucking beams Azeroth.
It
If
had the
even-
potential to just do something completely ridiculous, and it didn't.
This
Even
was
deserved it.
Yeah, I guess it wasn't
Just-
like kooky enough.
I'm thinking about even like Mythic, right? The Mythic phase could have been something crazy, like to just like those soaks. You have two teams, right? It could have been like a shadow, like you're fighting on the same plane, but like you're in different phases. But then, like Denathrius had that. It was like a mirror phase.
I don't remember the
But
Denathrius
would that
fight.
be like thematically correct?
Yeah, you go through
I
the
don't
mirror
know.
and then you come like appear on the other side of the room. You mean?
No, I meant like so you had that phase where you were fighting the boss on the same platform, right? But you couldn't see or interact with, or was it Kill Jaden who had it? But you couldn't see or interact with like the other
Oh, the
group.
group members.
But
Oh,
if
that's
you
the
left
mythic
stuff
mechanic.
on the
Yeah.
floor, then it would
Yeah,
have
that's
like. Yeah, but I mean on Mythic though, because I mean on Mythic like people are saying that there's like a phase. There was no Mythic phase, or there wasn't anything interesting.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I could be wrong. Part of the argument was, I think Max said that everything was hidden in the journal this time. So instead of a mythic phase, the whole boss was a mythic phase because no one knew what it did before it was revealed.
Oh,
But
is
I
that
mean,
what Blizzard are going to be doing now? That's terrible.
yeah, I don't know. I have not. I think I could be wrong, but I think that was what I saw him say. It was something along those lines. But that's definitely from a viewer's perspective that is way less exciting because
Yep.
I'm not that interested in just seeing another boss. I like seeing the world first having some sort of like grandeur to it, like the hidden phase.
Yeah, for sure.
And even if it is the case that it's like for show, right? I still want to see the show.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like we still want to see everyone flipping dead because Arthur's killed everyone and
Yeah.
Tyrion then comes brings the light.
Exactly, and you can make the argument. There's definitely the arguments we made where it's like if we're getting to the point where we're seeing like the hidden phase or whatever, the fight's basically over and it's dead. It's like, yeah, fine, but still let me see you do it.
Yeah.
You're gonna get there way before anyone else, so let's
Dude,
see
with
it.
Ragnaros getting legs and coming out the lava like in
Yeah,
Thailand, that was so sick.
yeah, it was good.
And legs. Yeah.
Right, we've gone on for almost an hour and a half now. So did anyone have anything they wanted to add before we wrap things up?
No, I
Don't think
think
so.
we're going to talk more about the dungeons in depth. We didn't expect this to take this long.
Yeah, we'll be
So-
covering the Mythic Plus season in the next episode.
Yeah. Now I got more than 2 cents
Okay, that's
to say
good.
about that.
Save it for the podcast. Save it for the podcast.
For the podcast.
I'm just saying.
Right. Nobody got anything they want to add?
No, that's all I
Don't
think.
think so.
Now, when you end on
No.
Galliwix, you can't really.
Exactly. Let's have this
Climatic,
episode end
dude.
as disappointingly as that's fine.
Not
Right.
even finishing each other's.
And with that, we'll see you on the next episode. Goodbye.